We have a T-Rex.
It's Saturday, which means it's time for another video. Today we're going to be looking at a favorite in my household, Jurassic Park, and the dinosaurs that are found in those movies, both the Jurassic Park and the Jurassic World movies. Only going to be looking at the dinosaurs that have actually been in a movie. I know there's a lot of surrounding media, the Camp Cretaceous Netflix series, which I actually highly recommend. It's actually a lot of fun. Different books and comic books, the short film. And then in the movie that's coming up, they've announced a lot of dinosaurs that are coming out with that, with Jurassic World Dominion, but we're not going to talk about those yet. We could always do an updated list later. Today we're just talking about the dinosaurs in the 5 Jurassic Park, Jurassic World movies so far. So let's go ahead and get into it. But before we do, don't forget to like and subscribe. I appreciate it. It really means a lot to me. And yeah, let's get to it. And so we get to our first dinosaur on the list, which is the Allosaurus. And Allosaurus is going to end up being a D tier for me. It's like the poor man's Tyrannosaurus Rex. Even though he's got those longer arms, it isn't iconic really at all. It's got kind of like some spikes up on its eyes, at least in the Jurassic Park version of it. And its biggest scene, is, at least that I can remember is off the top of my head, is the scene where it's running away from the volcano. Now I'm sure I'm going to get some Jurassic Park facts wrong. Let me know in the comments below. But in the movies, the Allosaurus really doesn't do anything too crazy cool, and so for me, it's going to be pretty low on the list. Even though it's important to remember, all dinosaurs are cool, and so even if your dinosaur isn't high on the list, I still think it's pretty neat. Next up on the list is going to be the Ankylosaurus. The herbivores really don't get a ton of, I don't know if it's, screen time. I mean, they get some, but not as much as the carnivores because, they're not actively out to try to eat everybody in the movie. But there is a cool scene in Jurassic World where the Ankylosaurus is fighting against the Indominus Rex and it's smashing around one of the gyrospheres. And so, that's a pretty good scene. And the Ankylosaurus is one of my favorite dinosaurs too, with its, armored back and its club tail. A dinosaur that can actually fight back is always a lot of fun. Where its only defense is not that it's just huge, but that it actually has ways of fighting against the carnivores that are coming against it. And so it's going to be a C tier for me. If it had, more to do, then it would climb a little bit more. But I forgot to mention, trying to keep this tier list pretty even. No more than 5 dinosaurs in any given category. Okay, let's move on. The Apatosaurus comes up next, and its big scene is being dead. Like a whole herd of them having just been massacred by the Indominus Rex. And you get the scene where Chris Pratt is just like cradling the head of one of them in his lap as it's, dying. And it's all sad. It's kind of a downer. It doesn't do anything neat in the movies, and so unfortunately, and it's not even like the biggest version of itself, right? It's gonna get it down to the F tier. Baryonyx is the next dinosaur on our list, and the Baryonyx has a scene where it is, in this kind of industrial tunnel where Claire is trying to escape with the guy from Detective Pikachu, whose name I'm forgetting, and there's lava coming in, and it's got like its long-nosed mouth, and it's coming after him. He's pretty cool in that scene, but again, just in the movie, it's not doing a ton for me. In the Camp Cretaceous series, he does show up a little bit more and is more of a threat and a presence, but not a ton. So he's going to be higher than D tier for me. I think I'm going to feel good putting him above the Ankylosaurus in C tier. We're getting pretty lucky so far when it comes to dinosaur names. We'll see how long that goes before I really mess one up. Maybe I did already and I don't even realize it. Brachiosaurus is going to be an A tier for me. It's the first dinosaur that you get a full look at in the entire series and really just kind of changed, cinema. Really, it changed what people thought of as doable when it came to computer graphics starting back in the early 90s. We'd had the T-1000, the liquid Terminator before this, but bringing something that looked actually alive, with skin and moving and the different parts of it interacting with each other. It was just as inspiring for people watching the movie as it was for, Dr. Grant. And on top of that, it's just huge. You can't even comprehend how big that thing is. And then you even get a callback to that original scene in Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, where it's like left on the dock and getting killed by the volcano. And then you get that fun scene up in the trees too, when Dr. Grant and the kids are up there and they're talking about how it's like a big cow. Man, just those animatronics that they were using in this movie are something else. It's super cool. The fact that they had like a giant head of this Brachiosaurus that they were able to interact with and everything. Brachiosaurus is A for me. Carnotaurus is up next. Now, Carnotaurus is way cooler than the Allosaurus because it's got like those devil horns on it. At least it's colored red, at least in the Jurassic Park movies and everything. It just seems like it's out to get you. It fights the T-Rex. Not well. Again, this is another one where if you're talking Camp Cretaceous, it's going to be, a bigger player. They call the one that they go up against Toro. But it's definitely the coolest meat eater that has come up on our list so far. And so I'm going to be putting it in the B tier. It just looks nasty. Now the Ceratosaurus, which I think I'm pronouncing that one wrong, but it looks similar to the Carnotaurus, but instead of having like the two devil horns, it's just got like the one dorky one right up in its face. I just remember it from the scene with the poop in Jurassic Park 3. He's like a little goober guy. Like, he isn't somebody who seems legitimately too scary. He's afraid of the poop, and that's what we learned from him. Again, if you run into him in real life, not something that I'd be excited for. But when it comes to rating him on this list, I think he's better than the Allosaurus, but that's about it. So we're going to keep him down in the D tier. And the Compsognathus, or the Compies, or however it is that you're actually supposed to say it, the little Compy guys, they are super scary. And it's because when they eat you, it's not a fast thing. It's something where you're going to know what's happening every second, and you're not going to be like a quick one and done like with the T-Rex. And so they lure you into that false sense of security, but man, when they do get a hold of you, you are in trouble. I don't think they're going to be all the way up to A tier for me. I really do like them. I'm going to put them below the Brachiosaurus. Their kill in Lost World Jurassic Park might be my favorite kill in that whole movie. You get a bad guy getting their comeuppance. You get something that's like genuinely unnerving, like when he's pulling the compy off of his lip. That's the kind of injury that when I see it in a movie, it makes me feel uncomfortable. But I do like that they keep showing up too in the movies, even if it's not so much in like a threatening way. Just little things in general, like things that are small, are always kind of unnerving and scary for me. That's why I didn't like Chucky as so much when I was growing up, because he was little. He could hide places, and the compies can definitely hide places. Now, I think this is called the Corythosaurus. I can't say for sure. Now, the Corythosaurus has like kind of like a mohawk kind of thing going on. It doesn't go all the way back like the Parasaurolophus. And so again, we end up with like the not quite as cool version of a dinosaur that we have a better version of. I'm going to put it in like the bottom of F tier. I don't remember anything about it except for it running like in crowds in different dinosaur movies, specifically in like The Lost World when they're hunting all of the dinosaurs. Next up, though, we get one of the most iconic from the first movie, the Dilophosaurus, the spitter, spits out that toxin that gets Newman real good. The scene with the Dilophosaurus is a lot like the scene with the Compsognathus, where you get that payoff story-wise, where the villains getting what they had coming to them, and then also like not a huge dinosaur. It can hide in your car. It spits poison. It just looks nasty, like a lot like the Carnotaurus. It just does not look like a friendly thing at all. Its neck is super long too, and the way it moves and chirps, very unsettling, but super cool. Like, I really like the Dilophosaurus. It's going to be on A tier for me as well. I think you say Dimorphodon for this guy. He's got like this stupid big head, and he flies around. Not big like the Pteranodons, but just kind of like chompy guys. Their big scene is they're involved in the aviary getting opened up in Jurassic World, and they're flying around and getting people when they're trying to eat at Jimmy Buffett's restaurant. I think these guys look goofy. Like, they seem, not like something that would be real, but more so like something that's like, well, let's kind of put like a T-Rex head on some wings and it can fly around. That would be cool, right? And no, I don't think it's cool. And so it's going to be another F tier for me. The Gallimimus are going to be the next ones, and their scene is cool in Jurassic Park because, you know, it's the stampede, and so Dr. Grant and Lex and Tim are running through a group of them as, you know, they're trying to make their way back to like the main compound on the island. And it is one of the few times in the movies where you really get to see like, oh cool, is this kind of what like dinosaur stuff would have been like without people being around? Because you just get to see the dinosaurs interacting with each other without the people really interfering at all. Plus the description that Tim gives of what he's seeing is just forever etched in my brain.
Look how much blood.
You would always get in trouble when you'd kill them in the Jurassic Park game for the Super Nintendo. So I am a little bit annoyed by that. But again, that's not in the movie, so let's not hold it against them. It's going to be a B tier dinosaur for me. Like the perfect dinosaur to get eaten. The next two dinosaurs on the list are ones that are absolutely made up for the movie. The Indominus Rex is first up, the big bad of Jurassic World. This thing's mouth is freakishly big and able to open up crazy wide. It's got stealth capabilities, like can camouflage. It's crazy smart, it's big, it's strong. It really is, I mean, that's what they're saying in the movie. It really is just like what you would design a dinosaur to be if you were trying to come up with a cool dinosaur. Like if you were a kid trying to design a cool dinosaur. I also like the fact that it's white, like that it's like it makes it look like it doesn't fit in with all the other dinosaurs. Like everything else is kind of colorful or just like brown, like to look kind of realistic when it comes to like the colors that we see in a lot of animals. But like to see this thing that is just completely like white really makes it stand out. It is a baby, which means it's not even like fully grown, so that would have been crazy to see how big it actually would get. But I do like the Indominus Rex, and again, watch Camp Cretaceous. It shows up quite a bit in there, and it's got probably the coolest dinosaur death out of any dinosaur in the entire series. I remember sitting in the theater watching Jurassic World, which was a fun theater going experience for me. Like in general, there was a part in the movie where the Indominus Rex smashes through the ceiling, and the lady next to me got so scared that she literally threw her bucket of popcorn in the air. That's one of my favorite things that's ever happened to me in a movie theater. And then watching the fight at the end, like I leaned over to my buddy Tim and I was like, man, the 12-year-old version of me has never been happier to be watching a movie than I am watching a movie right now. And so I'm going to give the Indominus Rex, I'm going to give it a B. I'm going to go B tier. With it. I do like it quite a bit, but I'm not going to go all the way up to A. I am going to go, however, up to A for the Indoraptor. And I don't know if this is like a hot take or anything. I know that the reputation of the second Jurassic World movie is way more mixed than the first one. But the end of that movie is very atmospheric and dark and probably the most scary any Jurassic Park movie gets outside of what happens to Samuel L. Jackson.
Oh, Mr. Arnold.
But the Indoraptor is like the Indominus Rex, but smaller and harder to see because it's black instead of white. So in the dark, it's a little harder to see and everything. Plus, you can really tell that this thing is like out to get the people he's hunting for, specifically like that little girl. He wants to eat that little girl real bad. And so I'm going to put it up in A tier, but it's going to be the bottom of A tier. Because again, not a real dinosaur, just some kind of weird monster that we have created. And so that's where that one's going to land for me. Man, I'm leaving this S tier way open. I must be having some cool dinosaurs still. Not this one, though. This one, I'm going to have to look at the name while I try to say it. All right, get ready. Let me know how bad this goes. Mamenchisaurus. Okay. Oh, okay. That's probably how you go. Mamenchisaurus. That's my guess. Did I get it right?
Mamenchisaurus. Mamenchisaurus.
Yeah. I don't remember this dinosaur. I don't care about it. Again, not as cool as the Brachiosaurus when it comes to long-necked dinosaurs. Going to be an F tier for me. I don't even remember it. So it's going to go below Apatosaurus even. Now the Mosasaurus is going to be an S tier for me. It's just tapping into my big fears, like my big real fears. Even swimming in a river that's only like 10 feet deep, I'm always worried that there's something like this swimming underneath that is just going to come up and eat me. It doesn't get just one, but two super cool like kills in Jurassic World, both with that poor assistant lady who really didn't have it coming, and then with the Indominus Rex, plus the introductory scene where it eats a great white shark really kind of puts it in comparison. Like, that's really kind of the biggest part in this movie, where they're like, hey, you know Jaws? You know Steven Spielberg, who made that first Jurassic Park? Forget him. We eat Jaws. Mosasaurus is nothing to sneeze at. Oh, and then it has that cool scene in Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom where the people are coming back to the island to try to get the bones for the Indominus Rex so they can clone the Indoraptor. And it pops out and gets that guy at the end. So good. And then the shot with it with the surfer at the end of the movie. Just, man, makes you excited for Dominion. I really hope Jurassic World Dominion pays off and isn't disappointing. Fingers crossed. Pachycephalosaurus is next up, and I like this guy. The hard-headed dude who slams his head into people. The scientist in Lost World talks about how it locks its neck into place. Just a super cool guy. He's going to be a B tier for me. I'm going to put him right there. He doesn't have a ton of screen time, but I do enjoy him quite a bit. The Parasaurolophus.
The one with the big red horn, the pompadour, Albert.
Anyway, he's cool too, but not exciting enough for me to put any higher than a C tier. It's cool that they're on the ride, right? But again, we're talking about the movie here. Not much to say. C tier. Pteranodon is going to be another S tier for me, and I'm even going to put that above the Mosasaurus. That scene in Jurassic World 3 is one of the better scenes. I like Jurassic World 3, man. People who dog on that movie are wrong. It is not nearly as good as like the first Jurassic Park for sure. But again, just a fun thrill ride, good characters that you don't hate, at least not most of them. But that scene in the big bird cage when they're all walking around and then chasing Billy as he's using the paraglider, all super intense. But then these guys get super majestic shots at the ends of movies where they're like landing on branches and flying with helicopters. Plus, when I was in first grade, I was in the Pteranodon group. Back then, we would call them pterodactyls, though. Purple pterodactyls for life, you know it. The Sinoceratops is like a Triceratops, but not as cool. It's got less horns and just not as big of a fan. I'm going to put it in the D tier. I'm going to put it right there. Now, I've mentioned before in videos that I was a big scaredy cat when I was a kid, and so I didn't actually make it to see the Lost World Jurassic Park. I was at the movie theater, getting ready to go in, and chickened out at the last second. And luckily, my cousin was nice enough to take me home and still make it back in time for the movie. But anyway, because I missed out on that in the theater, and I did regret it because we did watch that movie a ton when it finally came out on video, I was really ready to go when Jurassic World 3 came out. But the thing I remember most about all the advertising for Jurassic Park 3 was the Spinosaurus. And though I don't think it quite lived up to the hype, it is pretty cool. And it's going to be another S tier dinosaur for me. I'm going to put it at the bottom of S tier. You get the fight between it and the T-Rex. They really were just trying to show how cool the Spinosaurus was. And so, that fight went the way that it did. But then it serves as a pretty, effective, boogeyman character in the rest of the movie, where it's constantly chasing after them and wanting to get them. And the added threat of it being able to go into water is an extra level that the T-Rex didn't have, at least not in the movies. They did have it like in the book and also storyboarded and planned for the first movie, though it was not actually filmed or anything. It doesn't hurt that he's got actual arms. When it comes to fighting, having arms helps. And so I hope that the Spinosaurus shows up again in the next one. They've been rumoring and saying that he was in different drafts of the last couple movies. Was going to maybe be a part of, the volcano scene and have a rematch with the T-Rex there. But, it didn't happen, so maybe we will finally get a chance to see it again. Stegosaurus is going to be next on the list. I like Stegosaurus. They're going to be A tier. They get a little exciting scene in the Lost World Jurassic Park, but nothing too crazy. You get that super cute little Stegosaurus baby though, so that's going to help you. And they're just iconic. Like when it's probably like the second or third dinosaur I think of when I think of dinosaurs. And so that's going to help it get pretty high on the list by itself. I also had a Burger King watch that had a Stegosaurus on it growing up. A little bit of that nostalgia factor, but I'm trying not to rely on that too much. But you know, you can't help it. You are who you are. And I'm somebody who likes a Stegosaurus. The Stygimoloch is a smaller, spikier version of the Pachycephalosaurus. So it's like, smaller. Does it hurt it? Does it help it? It has a little scene with Owen, like helping them bust out of jail. It's played for laughs. I think it's pretty much like the same. Like I like it the same as the Pachycephalosaurus. And I think I'm actually going to put it just a little bit above it because I think the spikes do add to it a little bit. He's the cooler version, right? So I'm going to have to do a little rearranging here. I'm going to feel good about moving the Dilophosaurus up to S tier. Because again, it's got... I even didn't even mention the fact that like the way it's like its chirp, I mentioned that, but it's like yell, it's scream. Man, super awesome. But making room for the Triceratops to come up and live right here at the bottom of A tier. Triceratops are great. Now, to be fair, its first scene in the first Jurassic Park is it looking sick and almost dying. But, you know, it gets to run around and crash through things in the sequel and everything. And so, you know, I do enjoy it. Now, this is going to seem like super basic choices. But the T-Rex, we're in trouble, guys. Not that much trouble. We're going to do this. Pachycephalosaurus, you can go down to C. Triceratops, you can go down to B. Dilophosaurus, you had a promotion for 1 second, but now you're down back to A. Okay, T-Rex, going to be at the top. Tippity top of the list. It is a dinosaur, right? I mean, they're all dinosaurs. That's a stupid thing to say. It is the dinosaur. There's a reason that it is the logo. The yell is so iconic that like toys that aren't even associated with Jurassic Park steal the yell for it. Because if you see a T-Rex and it makes a different sound, you think to yourself, that's not the right sound. That's not what a T-Rex sounds like. Because this movie is so ingrained what a T-Rex is into our brains that their fake version of a T-Rex, we're like, yes, that is real. Everything else is fake. There are too many good scenes to try to recount all of them with the T-Rex, but really that first one where it breaks out is, I don't know, probably the best scene in the entire series. One of the best scenes to be in movies ever, at least in Steven Spielberg's filmography, which has a lot of the best scenes ever in it. And the fact that the T-Rex, you know, even by the end of that first movie, has turned into like a hero. Again, another super iconic scene where it saves everybody at the end. I legitimately watch the end of Jurassic Park with my kids probably once a month. It's just so good. And it really doesn't hurt that the score by John Williams is just like probably one of the top 10 best scores ever. You got it stomping around and making the ripple effects. There just is so much that is like just iconic about this dinosaur. I've got nothing bad to say about it. You get mommies and daddy versions of it. You got even a cute baby version of it. Can't wait to see what happens next with the T-Rex. And then right below that T-Rex is going to be the Velociraptor for me. It was tough for me to decide, but I think I like the T-Rex more because it's still just a threat, right? I mean, it helps every once in a while if it wants to kill something else. But there isn't like the good T-Rex. Like it will still eat you. Whereas like Blue is the good Velociraptor, and it's kind of knocked down Velociraptors as just dinosaurs for me personally. I do like Blue. I think that that's an interesting thing that the movies went on to do, and a way more, you know, like neutered version than like the dinosaurs being trained to be in the military that they were originally thinking of putting in. I mean, some of that stuff is pretty wild and crazy, and it's a good thing that the movies didn't go there. To just jump back to the first trilogy, the Velociraptors are way scarier than the T-Rex. Maybe not as iconic, but definitely scary. And the fact that they can, you know, get inside and all that, and that they're so smart, definitely just adds to it. You've got the kitchen scene with the kids where they're trying to get away from them, and the revelation that they can open doors, which just makes them a whole new level of threat. And then the scene between them and the hunter. Again, just, I mean, I said not as many iconic things as the T-Rex, but it still has a lot. And that's going to be my tier list for the Jurassic Park, Jurassic World dinosaurs. Hey, let me know your top 5 dinosaurs down in the comments below. Don't worry, I will not judge your spelling. I'm sure I'll be able to figure out what you're talking about. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel and lets more people be able to see the stuff that we're putting out, which is new videos every Saturday. I appreciate you being here and sticking around. See you next Saturday with our next video. Until then, take care.